Thank you very much for joining us today for our Convergent Technologies virtual event on security technology as a service. My name is Jeremy McConnell on the left there, and I am a business development manager for our Convergent's digital transformation team. I'm joined today by my counterpart, Tony Alexander, who's also a BDM on our digital transformation team. We also have presenting with us today Mike Maxenti, who's a global director for Genea Cloud Access Control, and Ryan Sheehy, who's our channel manager at Meraki, focusing on IoT and cloud video. So our agenda this hour is as follows. I'll be giving you an overview of our common industry challenges faced in the market and giving you an overview of Convergence as a service solution. I'll then turn it over to Tony, who will describe some best practices, alternative contracting models, and overall business impact organizations realize when using security as a service. Tony will then hand it over to Mike to provide a Genea Cloud Access Control overview, and then Ryan will be providing a Meraki Cloud video overview, and then some demonstrations in between. And if you do have any questions during the presentation, please put them in the chat, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. All right, so to start us off, I'd like to describe some of our common security challenges faced by organizations today. So first is dealing with complex or hard to use systems. A common example of this might be a system where you might have to physically go to your badging computer to issue a physical credential to a guest or employee, or using a video system where you have to upgrade storage when adding cameras, or can only view video from specific video clients. Another challenge is having out-of-date systems. So it's surprising how many security systems are out of date in the market, because it poses not only the potential for system failure, but also exposes the systems to cyber risk by having outdated patches and software. These systems are typically out of date because of the inconsistent service delivery in place and budgeting challenges. So upgrading these systems can be very costly and can be quite a lengthy process. And this is due to all the system components that need to be upgraded when working with traditional systems. So this tends to be upgrading server hardware, operating systems, custom integrations that need to be kept up with compatibility, system components, and more. Staffing and resource challenges has also become more common when it comes to managing security systems. So to help solve these challenges, Convergent has introduced security as a service. So this approach is how world-class organizations can embrace innovation to improve business outcomes, secure their facilities, and really address some of those very common challenges. Now, with our global footprint, our expertise, incredible channel partners such as Meraki and Genea, and dedication to being our customer's best service provider, we are uniquely positioned to provide this type of an offering to the market. So what does security as a service do for organizations? Well, it provides solutions that increase the usefulness of your security systems. It allows you to quickly adapt to protect your assets and people from physical and cyber threats. It allows you to focus on your core business and not have to manage the security solution stack. And it reduces the risk to brand and reputation. By lowering your management burden and solving some of the aforementioned challenges, we are providing a solution that reduces your total cost of operations. Okay. Well, that sounds great. So what is it? The security service is transforming the usefulness of your systems by getting as much as possible out of your data and having access to that data immediately anywhere in the world. It's really centered around cloud native technology and enhanced with advanced analytics and workflow automation. And this allows your security team to focus on protecting your assets and your people. This is a structured service approach with a dedicated support team. We manage your security stack with real-time monitoring, scheduled asset and technology refreshes, and provide continuous system, component, and software uptime. And by leveraging Convergent to design, deploy, maintain, and manage a portion of all of your security stack, you can focus on your core business while reducing operating costs and gain access to world-class talent. So now I'll turn it over to Tony, who will give you a best practices overview and describe our as a service model in more detail. Tony.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that introduction. So really, from a best practices perspective, what we're seeing more and more in the marketplace is that organizations are really needing to leverage their partners even closer than before to solve for increasing risk in the environment. That could be financial and physical risk. It could be cyber risk that's happening, right? All of these IoT devices that are on the network pose a unique risk that needs to be managed. And smart organizations are really starting to leverage multi-year contracts to gain access to great talent, and then also lock in contract costs and manage risks long term, right? And it has been found over time, and I'll talk a little bit about how kind of the IT organizations have been finding this over the last few years, but it's been found over time that outsourcing non-core technical functions to third parties is a super easy and cost-effective approach to bolster security profile and remove management burden from security technologies and other technologies and end user environments. And we believe that partnering, and many customers believe that partnering with Convergint to manage a portion or all of security technologies within an end user environment can really help refocus and shift focus of internal security resources into preventing and solving crimes and security risks within environments, rather than behind a computer screen trying to either manage a technical service issue or trying to do a complex investigation with that technology. Jeremy, could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So like I kind of mentioned, security is kind of catching up to IT in this as a service model space. So IT has been leveraging cloud technologies, migrations to cloud, and then also outsourcing non-core functions of those IT organizations for a few years, 10, 15 years-ish now, when this revolution really hit IT. And our world in the security technology space is really starting to migrate to that, with the, I'll say, lessons learned associated with that migration strategy that happened in the IT world a few years ago. So what are we really talking about? What are we really doing from a nuts and bolts perspective in order to, I'll say, follow some of these best practices, lessons learned from IT organizations, and then solve all of the problems that Jeremy mentioned before? Well, we're providing comprehensive, entirely comprehensive, all-inclusive solutions as a service to end users. So that includes everything from software and hardware, deployment, all of the long-term support and updates. And then one of the really cool things that we can now do, leveraging our partners with Meraki and Genea, is that we can proactively health monitor systems and respond to service incidents. So in the old world, right, and many on the call, I'm sure, can think about this in your environment right now, is that something breaks, right? Card reader's not working. When do you find out that card reader's not working? You find out when you go and put your card up against the reader and it doesn't work, right? And then there's a ticketing process and you have to figure out how to solve that problem, right? To get that equipment back up and running. The same thing exists on the camera side. Well, leveraging these cloud native technologies and as a service solutions, we can actually proactively know when that service issue happens and proactively dispatch remotely and on-site repair those systems before they ever become a problem to an end user, which is really a complete change of the support structure and the value that can be gained out of these systems long-term in the environment. I'm gonna hit the next slide there. Thank you, Jeremy. So, and then two other really cool things that are coming to light here as well as we're starting to move into this cloud and as a service environment. Number one is that in the old days, I like to call it the old days. In the old days, we are able, or we were only able to, we other integrators and other organizations were only able to support locally with the team that was there locally, right? So it means that it had to be somebody physically on a site in order to solve a problem. Now, in a more virtualized cloud native environment, we can actually leverage multiple global resources all to solve the same types of problems, right? So problems get fixed faster, they go to the right person with the right expertise faster, and everything is better off for it. And then also, the other piece of this too is that with the advent of the, I'll say, support process that I mentioned before around proactive health monitoring, proactive servicing, is that there can also be performance guarantees around SLAs that are actually put in place for this. So there's performance contracting, which is typically inside the security industry very rare and unusual, where there's actually I'll say, financial penalty associated with not meeting SLAs uptimes, which is, again, very different than the way that the industry has worked in the past. And then finally here is that when we shift our focus and we start thinking about this, one of the things that Convergint has committed to is providing more financing and financial options to end users. And so all of the solutions that we're now rolling out as a service can also be paid for in a flexible manner, whether that's an entirely upfront total cost of ownership in a CapEx environment, or it could be overall a subscription-based OpEx type of model as well, depending on what fits the best within the organization that you work within. So what's the business impact of all of this? Well, first of all, as Jeremy deftly mentioned, we're removing the management burden associated with these systems so that you can focus on your core business. We're reducing the overall total cost of operations and improving those improving resource productivity. We're mobilizing those security resources, and we'll get more into the I'll say, automation and tools that we can use to do that once we get in with Mike and Ryan, with Meraki and Genea. And then we can also accelerate the movement to cloud. Many organizations are developing or deploying cloud migration strategies right now, and we can help support that. And then lastly, we can help support and protect your brand, which is the most important part of any business. So with that, I will hand it off now to Mike, who's going to give an overview quickly of Genea Cloud Access Control, and he'll do a demonstration as well, showing what the value associated with that platform can bring. So I'll hand it off here to Mike.
Great, thanks, Tony. Nice to join everybody today. I'm going to take us through the Genea Access Control platform from a few different perspectives. But before I get into the product, I do want to provide a quick overview of some of the key aspects of the Genea platform and what it can do for customers in the security as a service environment. So Genea is a global enterprise access control platform. We're operational in 27 countries today, with over 1 million users on the platform, with customers in almost every single vertical that you can imagine, everything from Fortune 50 enterprise to healthcare, higher education, etc. So it's a very flexible and scalable platform, depending on the needs of the customer, and obviously how many cardholders and sites you're managing. So when we set out to build our product, there were a few core problems with legacy access control systems that we wanted to solve for. So number one was the amount of manual work it takes to operate a system. If you have an on-prem server-based system that is only accessible on site, then you have to be physically on site to do all of the manual work right there. So two is, when you have that type of scenario, the most critical function sometimes in an access control system is removing people when they need to be removed, and you're often relying on internal ticketing systems to achieve that. And of course, anytime you're dealing with manual systems on site and ticketing systems, things fall through the cracks, things take a lot longer than they should, and thus you have security gaps and risks. The third was that these legacy systems were extremely hard to integrate with the rest of the IT stack to drive automation throughout the systems, and also enhance the security stance by linking the power of these systems together. Then, of course, if you have a large global footprint, you're going to have disparate systems based on if you acquire a company, they might come with a different access control system than you're using today, or over time you adopted different things in different locations because there was no centralized global strategy. So we can help solve for that as well. And then last but not least, and this is particularly important in today's hybrid work environment, is that legacy systems do not work well with mobile access. So we wanted to help solve for these disparate problems and give you one central platform to manage it all. So the first step in this journey is to get you from an on-prem access control system into a cloud. So that's what we've done. Everything that we built is on AWS, and it allows you to centrally manage all of your global sites from one easy to use cloud-based dashboard. We take access control, video, and visitor management, bring that all into one. So you have sort of the three main pillars of your physical security systems in one cloud-based dashboard. And then, unlike all other, access control system manufacturers, we give you 24/7 service and support, so that if you have any questions about how to use the system, if there is an issue with the software, you always have a direct line to Genea. Excuse me. And of course, everything that we've done is built on non-proprietary hardware. So if you have an existing Mercury-based platform today, we can take that over and migrate all of your existing controllers to Genea, which greatly reduces the CapEx involved with the system migration. And then conversely, it gives you the flexibility and peace of mind to know that should you, at any point in the future want to migrate systems, you are still running non-proprietary hardware that can be migrated to other systems. So you're not locked into, Genea as an access control system because you're using proprietary hardware on our platform. So this is a hugely beneficial set of solutions for an enterprise that is looking to have a global access control system. So now that we've brought your system into the cloud to give you easy control and management across a global footprint, the next thing is to integrate it to the rest of your IT stack to drive automation. So we have provisioning integrations with all of the major identity providers like Active Directory, both Azure and on-prem LDAP Active Directory, Okta, Google Workspace, and OneLogin. We have native integrations with SAML SSO. So whatever SSO provider you're using, you can integrate it to our platform to govern identity, both from the administrative perspective as well as the mobile application perspective. If you are starting to leverage mobile credentials for your employees, you don't have to worry about that being outside of your SSO walled garden. It's all handled within. And then, of course, we have an amazing camera integration with Cisco Meraki. And fun fact there is we were actually the first ever access control system to integrate with Cisco Meraki Video. So we've been a longtime partner and have built a great integration set for customers to get the most benefit out of the two systems combined. And then last but not least is notifications. So if you're using Microsoft Teams or Slack, we can send you alerts and notifications from your access control system to private channels in your chat platform, so that if you get a door force alarm at the Chicago office, that you'll get an immediate notification in Teams, and we'll even pair that with a link to the video in Meraki so that you can go straight from Teams into Meraki to view that event and start to take action. This is a very powerful solution set when you start to combine these together for user provisioning automation and security audit tracking. So now that we've started to automate a lot of your workflows, the next piece is that hybrid work environment. And from day one, when we launched the product in 2015, we have had native mobile access integrations to HID Mobile and other providers. One of the great things about having the native integration is that it really empowers you as the customer to adopt mobile and not have to add a lot of extra process around it. So we have the native integration that allows you to do one-click provisioning right from our platform, or no-click provisioning if you're using an integration like Okta or Active Directory, because in the provisioning workflow, you can check the box to provision a mobile key for this set of users. So it can even be fully automated hands-off user provisioning, where it goes from Okta into the Genea system and provides a mobile key for access without you having to do anything. We also don't have you pay extra or separately for those mobile credentials. They're included with your Genea license through Convergint. So you don't have to worry about multiple contracts that you're managing. And obviously Convergint is going to bundle all of that together for you in one easy to understand and budget for pricing. So this is a super, it's a great advantage over sort of those legacy systems that can't have this level of native integration for mobile access. Because obviously, if you're going to adopt this type of credentialing, it has to take work off of your plate, not add 10 more steps to your workflows. And we think we've achieved that with our level of integration. And now we're super excited to announce that Genea is the first ever access control system to offer HID mobile credentials in Apple Wallet as a native feature of the access control product. So from the Genea application, those Bluetooth keys that you had before can now be added to Apple Wallet, just like your credit cards or your boarding pass for your next flight. And there's a ton of benefits for Wallet beyond just convenience, right? Number one is security. So it's a very secure transaction that is a low range. So it has to be done within about 8 inches of the reader. So it eliminates some of the Bluetooth spoofing issues that you might come across with Bluetooth. It also fixes the reliability problem because these transactions work 100% of the time. And it works in the background. So all I have to do is present the phone to the reader and it picks up the credential instantaneously. Now, for more secure locations that like an IDF room or maybe specific exterior entrances where you want to have two-factor authentication, you can enable 2FA on specific readers so that people have to use Face ID or Touch ID, and basically turning that phone into your biometric reader. So there's a ton of advantages by having an Apple Wallet-based credential. And I have to admit, it's pretty cool. So I really love this feature. And again, we're proud to be the first ones to offer this as a native feature of the access control product. And last but not least is visitor management. So we have a native visitor management product that is right in the same dashboard as your access control system that allows you to have guest pre-registration, iPad-based check-in flows, and also touchless credentials for guests like QR codes and barcodes. So if you're managing a multi-tenant office building, or if your corporate campus has turnstiles, you can now issue guest credentials that are time-based and custom and individualized to the guests, and allow them to access doors, turnstiles, elevators that have a QR code reader on them. So it's an enterprise-grade visitor management system, and it's right in the product itself. So it's one less vendor to manage, one less system to manage, and it has all the features and functionality that you would be looking for in an enterprise visitor management system. All right, so this isn't going to be death by PowerPoint from us. That's the end of my slides. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the product real quick, and then we'll pass it off to our friends at Meraki. So let me switch my screen share here. All right. So here is the Genea access control dashboard from a single location perspective. And we'll get into the global dashboard that shows you multiple locations as well. But here in the Genea dashboard, you get a quick view of how many people are on site today. You get attendance trends over time. But let's get into some of the key workflows like user provisioning, report generation, and then of course the integration set. So for user provisioning, it's extremely easy. So I'm just going to create, Convergint demo user here, and I'm going to assign them a email address because email address is required, of course, for a mobile credential. We need to know how to authenticate the user, assign the role, and assign the access group. Of course, in a multi-site environment, manual user provisioning across sites is a duplicative process. So you add them in Chicago, then you add them in LA, then you add them in Milwaukee. With Genea, we can go from the same user interface to adding a user into multiple locations. So I can add the same employee to multiple sites with access groups in each location, and then whatever credential I assign to them will automatically be distributed to those locations. So now we've created our new user. It's time to give them a credential. So credentialing is also very easy. You can just hit add new and then select which type of credential you're assigning. So the mobile key, we generate the key number for you. You select the badge type, and then the activation and expiration dates will be populated based on the badge type. Hit save, and now we have a brand new HID mobile key for this employee, and it will automatically work at any sites that they have access to. So let me show you the mobile app real quick, which is right here. In the Genea mobile app, you'll have a nice digital keychain with all of your keys, and then you'll notice that there is an Add to Apple Wallet button right here at the bottom of your screen. So click the Add to Apple Wallet button. It will then take those cards, convert them into an Apple Wallet credential, register that into the different locations, and then pull back the digital artwork that you have for your company. So hit add pass to wallet, and then it will, again, download that to your digital wallet. And now you have an NFC-based credential that works 100% offline. So it's a very easy process to go from digital key to a wallet with multiple location access. So now if we go to the global dashboard here, we can begin to drive automation for user provisioning inside of the integrations tab. So come to integrations. And now you'll have all of your directory services like Okta, Azure AD, on-prem AD available right here. So at Genea, we use Azure Active Directory. And all you have to do is drop in this API token to the Azure Marketplace application, and then start to create provisioning rules for which groups of users inside of Azure are going to be added into the specific locations with which specific access types. So this allows you to automate the provisioning process and ensure that the right people have access to the right locations automatically. And then of course, if they're deactivated in Azure by Workday or whichever HR system you're using, you can then know that automatically every time an employee is onboarded, they're automatically disabled from the access control system, and you'll have all of those audit records available to you at your fingertips. So that is how we automate user provisioning. SAML SSO right here. You can set up your HID integration here. Of course, Slack and Teams, as I mentioned in the presentation, and then of course, video integration. So with Cisco Meraki, the process is very similar. You grab an API key from the Meraki dashboard. You come into the Genea Global Dashboard, drop in your API key, and then you map the cameras in your network to the doors in your access control system. Once you do this, you get a couple of different features. One is, of course, live view. So if I click on the server room here, it'll bring me into the Meraki dashboard. And I always love how fast this loads because the Meraki system the cameras are extremely responsive. There's low latency, and I can just get right into the live view right here, and I can remotely unlock the door if I need to. But more importantly is having a video record of all of your access logs. So if I come into the activity log screen here, I'll see all of our activity right here. And then if I want to see Ryan badging into our storage room door here, all I have to do is click on that video link, and it will bring me right into that camera and show me that event happening with a 2-second offset. So here's Ryan badging into the storage room, going in and grabbing some hardware for a customer that he's probably setting up right now. But this ensures that every single access log event that you have has a corresponding video record, so that if you need to do investigations, you never are wondering, hey, was that actually Ryan? We know we can go verify with video in Meraki. And then of course, with the Teams integration in Slack, we can go straight from Slack or Teams into the Meraki video, so that we don't have to pass through the Genea and add a bunch of extra steps to the process to get what we're looking for. So it's a very powerful feature set. And then before I hand it off to my colleagues at Meraki to show the true depth and power of their platform, I do want to talk about support. So we have a great partnership with Convergint, where your teams will always have a 24/7 team to back them up from a hardware and a software perspective. Convergent's handling a lot of that frontline for support, but as the software manufacturer, we want to make sure that you have a direct line to us right in the product. So you can send us a chat right here if you have questions about how to build a report, how to generate schedules, et cetera. Anything you need to do inside the software, we're here to support, and you have a 24/7 line to contact us. So unlike a lot of other OEMs that they don't want to know you exist unless you owe them money, we're here 24/7 to give you all the support that you need. So with that said, I'm going to hand it off to Ryan with Meraki, so he can show you again the amazing capabilities of the Meraki platform. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, and thanks everybody for being on today. I'm Ryan Sheehy with Cisco Meraki. We're going to share with you a little bit about our video camera systems that we call Meraki Vision, and we'll get into a demo of what that actually looks like. So just a quick story. When we came out with cameras, we actually launched them in 2017. Around 2016, we decided to get into cameras and start developing them because there was a break-in at the Meraki office. And as our physical security team was going through the process of finding the footage, downloading and exporting the footage, and going through that process, our technology team was involved with that and saw how cumbersome that was. They had to go find the NVR, sift through the NVR, figure out exactly where that footage was, they actually found out that several of their cameras that would have captured that footage were broken, but no one on the physical security team knew about that until, of course, they went to go pull that footage. And we decided we could do it a little bit better. In fact, a lot better. And that's how we came out with our Meraki Vision platform. Now, just a quick background on Meraki. We're probably the largest company that sells cameras that maybe you didn't know sold cameras. We have over 700,000 customers buying Meraki wireless, switching, SD-WAN and routing on the IT side, also mobile device management, cellular gateways. But we are, jumping very quickly into this camera space, and we've been doing that now for five years. And as you can see here, 12 million devices connected back to our cloud. Those are the APs, the switches, the cameras connecting back directly to our cloud. And I think the other big thing to point on here is that we have a 4 nines cloud SLA. So we focus on uptime for our customers, and that cloud SLA allows you to use all the management pane, be able to use cloud access to the video footage in real time. So the camera system itself, this is the key takeaway would be the 3 S's on the screen. We are a scalable platform, we're secure, and we are smart. And within that, we also have the ability to access this from anywhere in the world, from any device that you can imagine. With scalability, we have a very streamlined architecture. If you can see in here, we don't have any NVRs, we don't have any VMSs or extra analytics boxes, because the camera is all of that. The camera is the NVR, the camera is the analytics box. We don't store in the cloud, we store everything on the camera. We access it from the cloud. We access it remotely and manage from the cloud. So unless you are desirous of sending data to the cloud, we do offer cloud archival. Only 5% of our cameras actually utilize cloud archival today. You could stream it out using RTSP, but for the most part, most of our customers are placing all of that storage directly on the camera and throwing out their NVRs and the power and cooling bills that come along with all of that. We also are very prioritized in security, and our cloud architecture gives us some capabilities around security. We encrypt directly on the camera and at rest and in transit when we are exporting that footage. We do a SHA checksum, so all of our video footage is also verifiable for court. For any incidents that might have to go to court. We also do secure user access. We can do role-based access control, giving users only access to certain cameras, to certain sites. We can also give admin access. Since we can manage our cameras and our wireless devices or the rest of our networking devices from a single pane, we can also limit people from being able to only touch cameras and not networking devices. With that, we also can do audit logs and be able to see who accessed footage from where and from what device and which cameras they were accessing it. And then always up to date, being able to do firmware directly from the cloud and knowing that it's going to work, you're not going to break the system. We offer that capability, and that's a huge uptick in security from a traditional on-premise NVR system, because if you change the firmware and on a camera but not on the NVR, you might break that system. And so a lot of people just leave that to be. Unfortunately, that can create a huge security threat on the network. The last piece on the left is probably, I think, our biggest differentiator. We do hardware security on the camera. So every single camera has a trusted anchor module built physically into the camera. So when you turn that camera on, it is verified via hardware and software that it is secure to connect to our cloud. Why would we do something like that? I mentioned and you saw on the previous slide, we have 12 million Meraki devices connected back to our cloud. And those devices range in a very wide area of customer sites, including Customs and Border Protection. It's the guest wireless provider for the US Capitol building. We're in higher ed institutions, healthcare institutions. If any one of those devices becomes a security threat, all 12 million of those devices become a security threat for us and for our customers. So we take security with a really important, it's very foremost in our minds. as we develop and launch our solutions. We can access from anywhere. We have different ways to view our cameras. We can view it in a traditional dashboard where it's more of a management, configuration setup type of view. We also have camera only user type of view where it looks more like a traditional VMS system. And then also for those security professionals that are on the go, we also have the ability to do it via a mobile app. We actually are also launching an Apple TV application as well, where you can do video walls on a monitor using Apple TV. So just a lot of different ways to consume the video, whatever is right for you. We have a way to do that. And then the analytics are also on the camera. We have the ability to do things like people counting, object counting, like vehicle counting. We can also do motion analytics from a heat mapping perspective, but also from a searching and investigation perspective, being able to see if there was motion in a field of view to maybe track down a suspect or some sort of incident that might have happened. We have the ability to do that via motion. And then we also have an ecosystem of partners, in Genea, as you can see in the middle of the screen there, being one of them, where we integrate and do other things outside of the dashboard. So if you're looking for custom computer vision to do workplace safety initiatives, making sure people are wearing their hard hats and safety goggles on a manufacturing floor, making sure that customers have, if you're a retail shop, making sure that customers are getting to the right products, the high margin products efficiently and effectively, or having a good customer experience. We have different providers that can do that from a computer vision perspective. And those applications can run directly on the camera. We also have the ability to use that same camera for multiple applications. So we have a very large network, a very large rail provider in the UK that wanted to see platform efficiency for the train platforms, see how long people are dwelling on the train platform, how long they're waiting between trains, what types of luggage that they're providing, that they're bringing with them on the train. If there's any, physical security incidents, also being able to see that. So having the ability to run multiple applications on that same camera, a really great opportunity built on our platform. We also have a large retailer in the South that wanted to do pay-by-plate initiatives for their loyalty programs. We have the ability to do license plate recognition through one of our partners, but they also wanted to use cameras for loss prevention, sweethearting, and other different initiatives, and get retail analytics as well for where people are going within their stores. All of those can run on the same exact camera. So really good opportunity to reduce that infrastructure, get rid of the servers, the analytics boxes, and run everything on the camera directly. So with that, I'm going to go into a quick dashboard demo so you can see what that looks like. So this is the traditional dashboard. And as you can see, we can manage everything from SD-WAN and switching and wireless, but also our cameras, IoT sensors, and other technologies. Now, if I come in here and I wanted to search into a specific camera, I can go into and search using native language, the stairwell, and see our 4th floor stairwell. I can do various things like search for motion. I want to know if there was any motion specifically in this area at a given time. I can see those motion events directly on here. Maybe I need it to be at least, I guess, 8.8 seconds specifically. And if I wanted to know if this was yesterday at 11 a.m., between 11 a.m. and 11:30 a.m., I can set that up just by typing that in and getting those events set up. Now I have that. I can click in, I can see the motion event without having to watch the video. So I've saved 17 seconds of my life by making sure that this was the right view. Yep, this is the person that was involved in the incident. He was wearing that red hat. I can actually play the video, or I can export it directly from this view right here. I can also set retention policies. So maybe I have a retention policy where I need to do various things and have, I guess here 70 days of retention. I can set it based on frames per second. I can set it based on video resolution. We also offer 4K cameras. So just note that this is not a 4K camera, but we do have 4K cameras. We can also do things like motion-based retention. So if I take this off, we actually only have 20 days of retention on this camera, but instead of the traditional CCTV scenario of record on motion, what we do with motion-based retention is we record every single thing. And after 3 days, we delete when there was no motion detected by the camera. And with that, we're seeing 71 days of retention. This is based on a historical, the past 7 days. As you can see here, this is probably not a typical work week, given that we had the holidays last week, but this is still going to be closer to 50 or so days of retention on the camera with high 24 frames per second 1080p. So you can get all of this information. There's a lot of really awesome things that you can do in this platform, in this pane, but maybe I don't care about all of that. Maybe I just want to manage and do a quick investigation. Someone's broken in and I see that or there's a forced entry event on my Genea access control platform, and I want to go and investigate it. Maybe it was in the bike room. I can go into my bike room cameras directly from here. As we can see, this is live in San Francisco. It is raining out there. I can go individually by camera. Maybe I know it was specific to this entrance. You can see we've got another camera right there. If I wanted to do any motion search specific to that doorway, I can actually get that. Yep, that's the guy with the, oh, my camera is not letting me go to that event specifically. Forgive me for that. But I can go and do motion search and be able to pull those events up. If I wanted to set up a video wall, I can go to a video wall. And of course, the demo is not working. 1 second, please. I'm going to come in here. And I might have done something with my VPN at some point that screwed some things up. And as you can see, it's very quick to pull right back up. So I can go into that bike room again. I can do that motion search again. And now it works for me. I can see that motion event. I can go back in time. Nope, still not going to do it for me. Okay. And it broke it again. So go back in. Anyways, you get the idea. I can come in and do these motion searches. I can set up video walls across the board for a specific area. And to make this a better demo, I'm going to bring it back up. If I wanted to export off of this, I can export off of this. I can export an entire video wall all from here. I can come in and click export. I can add multiple cameras and export all the cameras specific to this video wall, export all that I've clicked, and be able to get that out of the system and into a viewable file. I believe we export as a MP4, so we can export it as a viewable, easy to view format and easy to export format. And we can do everything again right here in this portal, and none of this requires an additional license. This is all included in a base license that goes to the camera. So back to that managed services, that managed services platform, maybe you don't want to have to deal with everything on the base dashboard that I originally showed you. You just want to have access to this and be able to do the investigations and be able to do the security focused events for your day-to-day. You can still have that and provide the access for your managed service provider like Convergint to do the rest of that configuration, uptime management, firmware updates, all of that for them. So that is that end. And then I just want to quick plug in our marketplace here. We have, with Genea, we also have other partners that can do different specific use cases. So I just did a quick search for workplace safety in our app marketplace, which is apps.meraki.io. And I filtered it by cameras, but we can obviously do other technologies as well. And these are a bunch of different partners that we work with that do specific staff safety, workplace safety, computer vision models that can load directly onto the camera, do things like PPE detection, slip and fall detection. So, this camera system and our ecosystem partners really provide not just your traditional physical security, but the ability to improve business processes, improve workplace safety, and drive the business forward in other ways. So, if you're getting pinged by your facilities team, or you're getting pinged by your marketing and operations teams, to do more with your cameras, or they want to add another camera to try and address a different use case that now you have to support. Why add more? Why add another server? Why add another type of camera for you to keep track of when you can do it all on one camera platform? So that's Meraki. I appreciate the time today. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and if there's any questions, we can open it up.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen again really quick here. And I know there was one question in the chat, I think that Tony had already answered here regarding video retention, and what we can do to kind of support some of those storage requirements. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things that we can do, right, to support some of those. And one of the things that you mentioned was just kind of changing the way that you're recording motion, or potentially cloud archiving storage and things of that nature. If there are any other questions, yeah, please put them into the chat now. And I did have one question for you, Ryan, actually, since there aren't any currently, but I know that you showed a slide a little bit about what the existing Meraki experience looks like versus your Meraki vision solution. So I think it'd be good maybe just to kind of describe, like, yes, the system would work for anybody who's not using Meraki, but if you are like living in the Meraki world and you're just used to the Meraki, like, what is the impact to your Meraki system? What does that look like? How does it kind of work within that ecosystem?
Yeah, so all of our technologies can work independently. I'll throw one caveat. Our IoT sensors actually do require a Bluetooth gateway that's either a Meraki wireless access point or a Meraki camera. But our cameras can work independent. If you're not a Meraki customer, that's fine. But we do have a better together story, obviously. And I can actually, real quick, I'm going to steal the ball from you and just show you what that would look like.
Great.
On the screen. So just for an example, let's say you're, and I need this pop up to go away for a second. I'm going to the dashboard here and show you again. But if I'm a Meraki switch customer and I have Meraki cameras, I can actually do things like going into our topology maps. So this is a technology or a feature that gets unlocked if customers have Meraki switches in their environment. With a Meraki switch, I can go into the topology view and see those cameras directly on the topology view. And my network at home is not doing great today. So there's some issues going on my end that is unfortunately impacting this demo here. But there is the ability to see, how it's performing. If you have cameras connected via wireless, you can see that connectivity as well, that they're connected via wireless. I can see those clients, how they're performing directly on the network. I can see the health of those clients across the network, including cameras. So if I have a camera on here, I believe I can search for it and see that camera's on the network, how it's performing, what its network usage is. So I can see some pretty interesting information about my cameras, but also about the rest of my networking infrastructure, all in a single pane of glass. And again, I would love to be able to show you the topology view, but that is just not happening today. So
yeah, but I mean, yeah, the important part is
the
important part is if you're used to using, Meraki from an IT perspective, it's just adding devices to your existing system already as part of your infrastructure, super easy to bring in. And then there's also just kind of what the security teams would be used to on a VMS perspective side as well, to view video like you're showing in video walls and stuff. So I do think that's great. That's great.
And within our cameras, we also can see the network view of those cameras. So I can go into this network tab and I can actually see which floors it's on. I can see which switch it is connected to. If they're connected to a Meraki switch, which these ones look like they're not, they're probably connected to just a generic Cisco switch. I can actually see which ports it's connected to. I can see what the switch name is, which IDF closet it's connected to. So I can get a whole lot of information there as well. So I can, just troubleshoot issues, especially since IT starts to take some responsibility for how these cameras are performing on the network. And there's that collaboration between security and IT to make sure that everything's functioning properly. This can give IT some more data to do their job effectively, so the security folks can focus on their job, which is taking care of people and being proactive in that endeavor.
Great. Yeah, thanks. So we do have some questions that did come in here. So first one's for you, Mike. How does Genea integrate mobile credentials with elevator dispatching systems such as Otis Compass?
Yeah, great question. So specifically with Otis Compass, we have a direct Compass integration, and then the Compass Dex, which is the wall-mounted kiosk unit. They have a HID Bluetooth module that goes in there that supports both BLE and NFC credentials on Otis. So again, it's another huge integration for us for buildings is that Otis integration. We also have similar functionality with Schindler, where we have the direct integration with Schindler's destination dispatch port system, and now Schindler supports HID mobile credentials as well on their hardware kiosks. So Kone and ThyssenKrupp are coming soon. And so, yeah.
Perfect. So nice, pretty much all the standard
destination dispatch.
Yeah, pretty much all the standard elevator players that are within the market. And, obviously that's great to mention, right? So, you have an elevator dispatch that already exists. You have Mercury panels that already exist. What does that look like for me? How do I deal with this? And, Genea, I think solves being able to migrate your existing system to the cloud really well like that. Do you have another question coming in? And I think the first one is, how does Meraki products be merged with existing systems? So I think we'd need probably a little bit more info as to, what those existing systems are. But yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I can touch on it. So we are not on VIF, and there's a reason why we are not on VIF, and that it goes back to that security conversation that I alluded to earlier. We cannot verify the security of external products onto our cloud, and we're just not going to let an unsecure fill in the blank brand camera touch our cloud. We just can't do it. That said, we have a lot of customers that are rolling out Meraki cameras. We understand if you have hundreds or thousands of cameras, you're not going to rip and replace all of them all at once. So we've enabled RTSP on our cameras, so we can do 2 streams per camera, 2 external NVR, Genetec, Milestone. We actually have several customers moving things and pushing cameras off to Genetec and Milestone today. And with that, as customers roll on more to Meraki, what they're doing is phasing out those old systems, reducing their licensing footprint, the cost associated with all of that. So we do have a way to integrate with existing systems. And again, we have lots of customers doing that today.
So that's important, right? So no, we can't bring your existing on-VIF cameras into our system because we service all of these organizations with all of these devices that we are literally exposing risk to our systems by doing that. However, there are plenty of ways that we can phase in Meraki cameras and bring them into your existing systems and just work with you on how that works. So that's great. Thank you.
So hey, Jeremy, Ryan, I think there's one other important note there too. So there's a existing security technology question there that you guys did a great job answering. But I think also important to note too is the integratability with other business systems and IT systems, which are enabled by both for Meraki and Genea, that can be enabled by open APIs, right? So if you're using a tool like Splunk or another SIEM tool or something like that, right, there are other business application types of tools that absolutely will integrate seamlessly into both platforms using open APIs.
Yeah,
Right.
We actually have a customer that they were using PPE detection for our cameras. They're a retirement facility, and they had high at-risk clientele during the beginning of the pandemic, and they needed to send WebEx using WebEx technology notifications to the right personnel that people were not correctly wearing PPE. So we can integrate with messaging apps, we can do SMS alerts, for those types of scenarios as well. But yeah, we integrate with anything that can ingest an API. Maybe you use internally ServiceNow or something else for ticketing systems. We have that capability also.
Great, and that really leads into the next two questions, which could ultimately be for both Genea and Meraki, but ultimately shipment tracking and scanning systems. And ultimately, to Ryan's point, it really depends on, if there's an API available. There are some custom systems that are built out there by end users that we could work on integrating with. That's a possibility. We've done that before. But ultimately, if those systems have APIs that are available, it's going to absolutely be possible. And I'm sure, to Ryan's point, if you go onto the Meraki apps web and maybe you look up shipment or something like that, you might be able to find something right off the bat. But we're absolutely happy to help navigate and explore that with you.
And I'd be curious what shipment tracking means, because that could mean a lot of different things. But I've got a use case that just came off the top of my head, Tanya. And the one that's interesting for us, we have a very large warehouse customer that they're tasked, because of regulations in California, to track every type of truck coming in and out of their warehouse facility, and then sort and facilitate understanding what type of truck that is. So is it a semi truck? Is it a box truck? Is it a moving van? What type of truck is it? And so they actually have deployed, instead of hiring someone to do that, and then you have to have 3 shifts of people doing that, they're putting one camera out there. They're loading a custom computer vision model from one of our partners called Cogniac directly onto the camera. And that model is classifying the types of trucks and counting the number of trucks coming in and out of their facilities every single day. So if that's the use case that's being alluded to, we actually have that already happening. I don't know that that's exactly what is being asked there, but yeah, we can track all kinds of movement in logistics and warehouse facilities. And again, it's just using ecosystem partners and APIs to drive that.
Yep, and we'd be happy to explore, whatever you're looking for sure. Well, I think we're pretty much wrapped up on time here, and it looks like no other questions are coming in. So I did want to say again, thank you so much to Mike and Ryan for your overviews, presentations, and information, and being with us here today. And thanks everyone else for taking the time out to join us today. If you like some more information or on anything, please reach out to me by email as it's shown on the screen there. And we're happy to support you. So thanks very much for your time, and hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the week.